NFL. These are my picks for 12 of the games in Week 2 of the NFL, September 14 and 15, 2025. I look for potential advantages based on Week 1 performances against the spread. That is, did the teams cover the point spread and by how much? Also, I looked at injuries. In 2 of the games that are highlighted, New Orleans Saints and Los Angeles Chargers, injuries play a significant factor, providing potential advantages. My picks for 12 of the games in the NFL in Week 2 are Jacksonville Jaguars, Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints, New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts, Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Los Angeles Chargers. The picks are in the first column of the spreadsheet. In the second column, I have their point spreads, and these are the best point spreads that are available from the various sports books. The blue point spreads are when the teams are favored. Los Angeles Chargers are favored by -3. The third column has the opposing teams, and then the last column tells you whether they're the road team or the home team. So the New Orleans Saints are underdogs plus 3.5, and they're playing at home against the San Francisco 49ers. The Los Angeles Chargers are on the road. They're favored -3, and they're playing at Las Vegas against the Raiders. So with regard to these highlighted matchups, let me show you the injuries. So the New Orleans Saints are going to be playing at home, and they're playing San Francisco. And the best place to look for key injuries is actually on DraftKings. So on DraftKings, I click the team here, San Francisco. New Orleans Saints is healthy. San Francisco has key injuries. Their quarterback, Brock Purdy, is out. Their star tight end, Kittle, is on IR. And wide receiver Jennings is questionable. Last season in 2024, tight end Kittle and wide receivers Jennings were the top 2 receivers on the San Francisco 49ers. Their backup quarterback is Mac Jones. And fortunately for the 49ers, McCaffrey and Pearsall are healthy and available to play. But the 49ers have been dealing with injuries in the wide receiver position, and these are key injuries. And the New Orleans Saints are not that bad. Okay, so now let me look at the other game where there's injuries. Las Vegas. I'm clicking the 49ers here. Las Vegas. Here's a key potential problem. Las Vegas' star tight end, Brock Bowers. He has an injury designation. He's questionable. He did not practice Thursday, and he was not seen on practice on Friday. So if he's out, and what happens on the day of the game, they actually give the final report on whether he's going to be out of the game. If he's going to be out of the game, this is a key problem for Las Vegas. So because of these injury designations, especially the 49ers have major injury issues. The Las Vegas Raiders, this is the first year of head coach Pete Carroll, with the Geno Smith as the quarterback this year, but this is the first year that he's with the Raiders. But this is going to be a problem for the Raiders too. So the 49ers injuries are pretty much set. The Raiders injury, on the day of the game, you want to actually check if the player is actually out. But these give advantages to the New Orleans Saints and Los Angeles Chargers. So let me go through some resources, and I'm going to put these web links in the description box below. So VegasInsider.com lists the games, and it actually gives you the different sports books and the point spreads that are available. And the point spreads that I have on the spreadsheet are the best point spreads available on this webpage. ESPN is where I go and look at the box scores and statistics. So looking at San Francisco's depth chart, we see that Brock Purdy's out. Jennings is questionable, but Kittle is on IR. And we see that Mac Jones will be the quarterback. This is last year, 2024. Receiving, tight end Kittle and Jennings, wide receiver, were the top two receivers. Now going on to New Orleans Saints, being not that bad. Spencer Rattler, last week in week 1, passed for 214 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But all of their skilled players are available. Alvin Kamara is available. Juwan Johnson, a tight end. Alabi, the wide receiver. So they're offensively they're fully staffed. Los Angeles Chargers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, and that gives you an idea of how good the Chargers are. And the Chargers last year had one of the top defenses. And they're going to play against the Raiders. Geno Smith this is the first year that he's going to be a Raider quarterback, and they're going to be missing their top tight end. And in week 1, Brock Bowers was their leading receiver, and he received 103 yards. Now, what makes NFL picking hard is actually there's a lot of parity in the NFL, meaning the teams at the bottom are not that much worse than the teams at the top. So on any given Sunday, a bottom team can do a surprise upset. So to indicate that, so basically in the NFL, most of the teams are clustered. This is in 2024, and this is the point differential. Points scored minus points allowed. And most of the teams are grouped, are within, are clustered +7 and -7. There's not that much difference. There's a few outliers, like last year Detroit and Philadelphia were outliers at the top, and at the bottom you had Cleveland and Carolina, but most teams are grouped in the middle. So basically in the NFL you have teams that have a point differential of +7 to -7, and you have 2 to 3 outliers at the tops and the bottoms. So this parity makes it where you don't get as much separation as you do in college football. And this is why, from a data analytics standpoint, I don't get that excited about NFL football in terms of picking teams. Now, there's potential advantages if you do live betting, or if you bet on specific player production. For example, will Spencer Rattler pass for more or less than 200 yards? So the advantages in the NFL may be by going into deeper statistics. Also, if you go on ESPN's website, they have a football power index, which is basically a number where you can use it to calculate a point spread. So, for example, if the Baltimore Ravens played the Philadelphia Eagles, their FPI is only different by 2 points. So basically, on a neutral field, the Baltimore Ravens would be favored by 2 points. But as you can see, most of these teams are pretty close to each other. So on the top end, you have the Baltimore Ravens with an FPI of 7, and Tennessee Titans are -6. So if they played each other, Baltimore Ravens versus Tennessee Titans on a neutral field, Baltimore Ravens would be favored by 13.5 points, approximately. I also want to let you know about something good to look at is CBS Sports. Also, they've been doing this for a while. They list their different writers, and they provide picks straight up and against the spread. And they also give the record, their record for the season. For example, against the spread, Pete Prisco is 14-3. Against the spread, he's 12-5. And then Eisenberg, he's their senior fantasy writer. Last week he was 10-7. And so you can see their picks against the spread. So I think this is actually a pretty useful reference. So as we see here, we see that several of the guys, it's about half the people are picking New Orleans Saints to cover the spread, and a majority of the people are picking the Chargers to cover the point spread. What I mean by also too is VegasInsider.com. If you go to the page, the team pages, if you scroll down, they'll have the team schedule, but they'll have their historical point spreads and their scores. So we can see here that in Week 1, the Colts were favored by minus 1.5, but they won 33-8. So they won by a margin of 25 points. So they cover the point spread. So this is what I mean by covering the point spread. So if a team in this particular situation, Vegas was off by 25 points. So that's useful to know. But the separations are smaller in the NFL, and it's hard to find advantages. So injuries are one location, and the best place to look for these injuries, I believe, is DraftKings. They have the easiest format. And that by seeing how the teams the match up, you have to look at the individual matchup. You have to do a little bit deeper analysis and use a lot more of the human brain to come up with an analysis. Whereas, for example, in college football, some of the point spreads are so large, you can find large separations in the point spreads. And in college, sometimes Vegas is very wrong with the point spreads. So if you go to my channel, I also have a college football picks video where I discuss 8 picks based on covering the point spread from the first 2 weeks, looking at injuries, looking at strength of schedule, etc.